Keep all this time. Heavy is the head. I see the boat throwing. I'm too full with it. I gotta keep going. Kobe with the wins. You niggas just Ginobili. You winning only cause of me. Let's keep the ball rolling. No disrespect, Slim. Where is your check, Slim?
Welcome back to another episode of the You Weren't There podcast. I am, of course, your host, Mia was here, and I've got two amazing people with me today. We can give them their introductions and we're going to get started. Kasim.
What's good, everybody? My name is Kasim. I am a rapper. I'm a designer. I'm an AI artist and a crypto trader / consultant. Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry. Let me not call you what I call you, S'mores.
Yeah, my name is Morris. I'm an entertainer. I'm an artist. I'm a host, and I'm an all-around great guy. One of God's favorite.
Got to mention entrepreneur.
Amen. An entrepreneur. That's how it's always been made.
Yes.
Exactly. And which is important. I think it's important to mention that because the truth is not every artist is a good business owner, and not every artist has their business in line, which is why so many artists run as many problems as they do.
For sure.
I think that's really what stops a lot of people from hitting that next level, right? People focus on having the fame and success of a Drake or a Kendrick or a Cole, and don't realize that if you had your business together like La Russell, you could probably go a little bit further. Because the truth is, it's at one point I remember it was 50,000 new songs coming out a day. Now it's closer to 80. And so if you don't already have a core audience built in, if you don't already know what your plan is, what your purpose is, and how to manifest and facilitate that, then you're not going to be able to be successful. Not in this age. It's too much new music coming out. It's too many new artists coming out. Yeah. I remember when I was doing music, we used to joke that everybody wanted to be a rapper. It's the truth. Everybody wants to be a rapper. And it's not just regular people anymore, right? It's all the NBA players want to be rappers, right? You got Dame, you got Miles Bridges, the NFL players want to be rappers, right? You got AB and to put that shit on. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's real. Everybody wants to be a rapper now. So if you don't have a plan for entrepreneurship, if you haven't gotten to the place where you realized that the music or whatever the creative outlet is just the commercial for whatever the product is that's going to make you some money, you've already missed it.
Yes.
So we'll talk a little bit about that today. You know what I mean? The importance of entrepreneurship, the importance of having your business together. And I think really more important than that, to me, is the understanding of how the relationship that you foster along the way help to facilitate your greatness or help to keep you stagnant in terms of your path to greatness. So, because I think we missed that, right? I was a person who did not understand how to foster relationships as an artist. I really didn't. I didn't have anybody around me who was helpful in that regard. I feel the managers that I had at that point in time, they were great at putting me in the room, but not preparing me for what to do in the room. Right. And that's another thing, right? It's so easy to say, well, if I had this, I would be able to do this. If I had that, I would. If I had a manager put me in the room, I would. Well, if you don't know what to do when you're in there, what difference do it make? Right. I was in rooms with Grammy Award winning producers and playing all the wrong songs with all the wrong demeanor and not being vocal enough in some situations and then being too vocal in others. You got to know how to being a performer is about so much more than what you do on a stage, right? There's a persona that comes along with your music. The music isn't just a commercial, right? So you gotta know how to maneuver in those situations in order to be able to do something with all of that, right? So that being said, Kasim, when you look at kind of your path to music, what do you feel were sort of the best relationships you built along the way that kind of made you who you are now?
Good question. First, that whole introduction to entrepreneurship, that was beautiful.
Gotta trust the process, baby.
Yeah, that was fire. I was watching fire. I was okay. But it's so many relationships, even right now. So there's the good and bad relationships. I used to be in a rap group. It didn't really work out, but that sparked the writer in me. That sparked the hunger in me. With ciphers every time, the songwriting just bouncing back and forth, freestyling since high school up through college. So it's even though the relationships I built with them didn't last forever, the skill sets last. And what happens is every time I go into new sessions, I'm way more collaborative because I knew what it was like to be in a rap group, you know what I mean? And so you just learn how to just take even the bad and turn that to good. But the other good stuff is like everything expansive. So it's like all of my skill sets have led me to new people. Oh, I'm good in crypto. Oh, there's people who want to learn about crypto. Let me talk to them about crypto. Oh yeah, I also rap. You know what I mean? Oh, I love doing ads. I love doing AI art. I love doing visuals. Oh, there's people who love visuals. Hey, I also rap. And so what I've learned with my relationship skill set is taking up space comfortably, letting other people take up space comfortably, and then while you let people take up space, just let them know other things you do. Because people are so amazed by people who aren't specialists. I like to let people know I'm not a specialist. I'm not like, I don't only rap. That's why my name is Kasim via underscore. The underscore gives me the space to occupy as many lanes as possible. And the relationships I make along the way, thank you. Thank you. And then the relationships I make along the way allow me to sustain it hyperactively. So like even me moving to LA, like I'm moving to LA by the time this comes out, I already have the relationships because I've been to LA 7 times over the past 5 years. And like last month I was at Complex Con. So it's like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. And like just touching back with people, like you meet these people and the way you foster relationships is simple. You comment on their shit. Basic, good stuff,
which costs you nothing.
Nothing.
It costs you nothing. But you
Nothing.
know what's crazy? We live in a time where like people don't want to follow you back.
Yeah.
Right? That one change in the number, it like changes people's perception of themselves or something. Like it's so weird. Like you're supposed to be networking with people, right? You're supposed to be like working across. I preach that every episode. I'm gonna say it every episode as long as I'm here. The imperativeness of working across is crazy. There are people who are geniuses sitting right next to you, who went to college with you, who went to high school with you, who you've met through your job. Like there are geniuses working right next to you who are willing to help you grow, who are willing to help you facilitate your dream. But y'all so busy trying to work vertically. You're trying to get on to somebody that's already on, thinking that you need that kind of validation. And that's the reason why it doesn't work. Like,
Right.
and honestly, I think what you said is a brilliant point because like working in a group, I think also kind of teaches you like to train your ear.
Yes.
Right? Like as an artist, it's very easy to be self-absorbed and think that you know what's best for you, and you don't always. You don't always hear like the best songs, right? There are songs that you created that you love that nobody loves them the way that you do, right? Nobody fucks with that the way that you fuck with it. Not because it's not good, but because like the way people hear is different. And you gotta be open to that part of your process too. And that's with everything. Like you need to be open to hearing how other people hear music so you can expand. You need to be open to how other writers write, so that you can build your opinion. You need to be open to how other people maneuver in certain spaces so you can pick up things that are valuable and also like detract from anything that's not gonna help you grow, right? So like the way you move as an artist is so dependent on the relationships you build everywhere. Right? Because I think that they have such an impact on who you become. And I think that that's an interesting point because like Sam, you're in like a collective, not necessarily a group, but a collective of people who are like solely independent, who all have different skill sets, who bring those collective skill sets into like a team environment and y'all build based on that. So like as somebody who's like in a collective, right, but not quite a group, how do you feel like that's like kind of fostered your growth as an artist?
I've been responsible for holding up my end. I feel like in a group, you kind of get lost with thinking that we all want this to get accomplished, so everybody will work to get it accomplished eventually anyway. And working with the collective is you need to be on the bare minimum line, and that bare minimum line grows with every step or every accolade that comes to the group. So it's a challenge to make sure that I was able to meet up with par and to raise the bar consistently. I'm a military brat, so I very much believe in owning your spot. So if you lose that ownership, then it's on you. And it's on you to regain that ownership, or it's just gone. And that's how we can continue to grow without having to purposely remove anybody. It's like a hurt into self in order to reach the goal.
That's a big one. Like at what point, like right, because there have been people who've walked away over the years, or people you've had to walk away from over the years. When you look at that, like, what were kind of the situations where you were just like, this isn't working? Like, we've been trying, it ain't been working. Like, what were those situations and kind of what was the point at which you realized, like, nah, we got to do something. This ain't it.
So, more recently, I can say I've decided to move with a very thin unit, and people that can move with me and people that are with me all the time. If you were around me between 2018 and now, then you would have seen who was with me when we first started, and we were throwing the shows and upstairs at Sports Zone down in Georgetown, all the way through to us being able to host our own show every month down right off Capitol Hill at 201.
Yeah.
The growth pattern happened just with people kind of not matching up to where we wanted it to be, where we needed it to be. We brought in being an entrepreneur, that presents a different baseline than just the feeling of the artistry.
Right.
If I don't want to do it that day,
Right.
Yeah,
Whether or not I want to.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my phone bill don't care, my bills don't. They're not like, well, she's an artist, so
Yeah.
you kind of got to give him the thing. You know what I'm saying? He'll make that money eventually. No, these checks got to turn over consistently.
Yeah.
And then the larger checks are the more fun checks because those are people that trust you more. So they're already giving you the leeway to be the full artist that you want to be. The smaller checks are just as important. And you have to make those. Every client has to feel as if
they're the most important.
They're the most important. So I would say the time where it felt the most like we needed to then was more recently when we stepped into doing these live shows. I mean, it was just people that didn't step in doing a live shows with us.
Yeah.
You know, it was a long time that we were creating music.
Yeah.
It was a long time that we wanted the music to be it. And then once you take a couple of business classes, once you take a couple of those steps that are required to move, then you understand, oh, okay, well, then that is a waste of my time. And the thing that has become almost religion to you, I need you to just try. And some people are willing to, and some people are not. And those that are not are no longer around.
That was open. That was honest.
I love that.
And I think, like, it's easy to, like, hold on to those people forever, hoping that it's going to work itself out, right? It's like with any relationship, right? Like, you have to reach a point where you're like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
And, like, it's time to move on. And that's like the hardest thing in the world when you really care about people.
It's so
because you want them to grow with you.
Yeah.
You want them to be a part of the journey. You want them to see, like, the end benefit. Like, where you are right now in your careers has nothing to do with, like, what God has for you 5 years from now, right?
Exactly.
But, like, that journey is a short one, right? And I think that's what people don't realize. Like, I think we are in a space where people feel like they have forever to get the thing done, whatever the thing is.
Yes.
And you don't.
It's so
there are 10 artists right behind you doing very similar things in very similar spaces who are hungrier than you are, who have less contacts than you do, who have less access than you do, and they are waiting for that fuck up. So, like, I think that's what people don't realize. It's like, you don't have the time that you think you have to get your shit together. You have right now. And, like, if you don't get your team together too, right? If you don't, like, clearly define your goals, if you don't have, like, a Tam Sam song behind everything that you do, right? Which is essentially just, like, recognizing what's in a market, like how you create in that market, and then what's going to come out of that market, right? So if you don't understand all of those things, I got college education on. You know what I'm saying? Like, but if you don't understand that, like, from a business and a practical standpoint, like, it's never gonna work.
It's never gonna work.
Right? The music is the commercial.
It really
right?
is.
The product is the thing you're making money on. And any artist from any era since when I started to now will tell you, like, you're not gonna make no money off that music. There are other things that you need to be doing. And that doesn't mean the music is any less important, right? But there are just other things that need to be done in order to, like, build a brand. And then once you build the brand, you can do whatever you want with the music, right? NBA players, as terrible as I would say all of them are, like, do we know a good NBA rapper?
Dame is fire. Dame is fire.
I do like that. I do like that. You know what it is, though? It's not that Dame's not fire. He got a song with Rex Life Raj that's like, I play all the time. I fucking love that song. You know what it is, though? It's not that Dame's not good at music. He's very good at music. It's that I don't believe him.
Okay.
That's really what it boils down to. And I feel that way about all the NBA players. Like, stay in your fucking lane, bro. Honestly, like, except Shaq.
He's
He's outstanding. Literally, he's outstanding. I wish I could was going. I'm way outstanding right the fuck now. It was a fantastic song.
DJ Diesel, all that.
I'm telling you, like, Shaq was the only one. Kobe had some bars, but y'all wasn't gonna buy that record. Y'all didn't expect. Y'all wasn't gonna buy Kobe. Y'all wasn't gonna buy Kobe. Now, we love Kobe. Kobe's the GOAT. Look, we celebrate Kobe over here, but y'all wasn't buying the album, bro. Y'all not buying Miles Bridges shit. Y'all didn't buy Dame Dollar shit. Who are the other NBA rap niggas?
So Jaylen Brown dropped the joint with ASAP Ferg. I haven't heard it.
I heard that too. Ass. What? Major ass. You didn't stay in your lane too.
So he's not really rapping, but he's definitely involved with certain stuff. LeBron, when it comes to like his like,
that's different. Though.
Yeah,
production is totally different.
Yeah.
He owns a production studio.
That's only different. That's
owns a film company. Like, no, I respect like entrepreneurship at every level, but I think that there are like pockets for creativity.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I just don't be believing these NBA players when they get on these songs. It's not like they're not good. Dame is like that. I listen to that song all the time, but it's like I don't believe it though.
NBA players rapping. I'm like J. Cole playing basketball.
Oh, that's poetic. That's poetic. And it's actually really ironic because he's so. Yeah, that was cool.
That was good. It's not like you can't.
Yeah.
But should you? Right?
Yeah, the woman.
What does the Bible say? Just because it's permissible doesn't mean it's allowable. What is it?
I'm not gonna lie. I
feel
like a heathen.
And what is it? Just because
I feel like a heathen. Like you really got down to like a specific.
The ultimate lesson behind it is just because you can don't mean you should.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you can doesn't make it a good idea. So like I know y'all rap niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like, just stop. We don't want to hit you.
Shout out to people.
No, for real. Like, the only one to do it right. Doesn't get enough props. Doesn't get enough credit for how amazing he was. The hood superstar, entrepreneur, NFL agent, NBA player, right? To be fair, he negotiated one of the worst contracts in NFL history with Ricky Williams. So Master was Ricky Williams' agent. He got drafted Heisman Trophy winner.
You go to a podcast and learn about Master.
We gonna keep it all the way bucket here.
I didn't know I was gonna learn about Master.
Master was Ricky Williams' agent. He negotiated one of the worst contracts in NFL history. The contract basically said that like Ricky had to earn his pay. So he had to run like a certain number of yards, like to get guaranteed percentages on it. And that was, no one does that, right? Now, like you guarantee me my money, right? So in Russell's case, right? So Russell got like 160 million guaranteed, and then there's incentive money if you're good, right? Same with what's the other guy, Deshaun Watson, right? Currently the worst contract in the NFL. Getting worse by the day now that he's torn his Achilles, but like Deshaun's contract is like 230 million guaranteed, right? And he's been awful ever since that contract began, and all that money is locked in. They're locked into him for 5 years, and there's no one else who would take it on. And now he just tore his Achilles, so that's 200. And I think they still owed him like I think he's got like 70 million. Deshaun is the Frank Ocean of the NFL. Deshaun, like huge contract, a bunch of money. Like Frank Ocean fucked it up for everybody else though. Because they fight. He's like, look how I got these.
I'm glad he did. It was such a. And then like the epic part about that finesse was the album is a classic.
It is.
If one thing the album was trash, it was like, you finesse, but the album sucked. It's like, nigga, you did that with Blonde?
Yeah. It was a great album and a terrible contract to follow. And now, like, that's why artists don't get paid from Apple. Like, they're never gonna give anybody else money. Thank you, Frank. But I mean, shout out to Frank for getting what he needed on that. That's crazy though. But honestly, it's like the ability to do that. Like the ability to walk into a room, create your own terms, and walk away with what you need to walk away with. I feel like there's like an understanding of value in almost every industry except for music.
And I think,
which is so crazy to me.
And I think the reason why is because of how music is measured. You know what I mean? And it's like, even me, right? So like, before I even continue the statement, thank God I got back into music. I went years without dropping music, not because I didn't want to drop music, but one, music is so expensive. You gotta pay for the studio time.
For sure.
You gotta pay for the
Most
beat.
expensive of hobbies.
You know what I mean? You gotta pay for the beat. You gotta pay for the visuals. It's tough, and it's tough, and like the way streaming is set up.
If you hobby music,
Yeah, yeah. And
Anybody wondering why Dirty Gospel, shout out to Tyrell, was the last one? It was because it cost 6 bands.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like
I was done after that. It was a wonderful goodbye.
and you,
Love you.
And you get a bunch of like kudos, but then when like you get your
Yes.
Spotify shit, it's pennies.
Which is crazy because like I remember, not to say names. I feel like I say this every episode, but y'all know who the fuck I'm talking about. There was a person who was like, that album was a flop, right? That's what they said about Dirty Gospel by Tyrell and I, right? He did all of the music and the arrangements, and I wrote all of the lyrics and co-written. And that album got like 350,000 downloads, right? To me, that doesn't feel like a failure. To me, getting 350,000 people, which are probably mostly in this city, to do anything is a huge accomplishment.
It's not a failure.
But we made like $600 off those 350,000 downloads. That's a problem for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I can't live like that.
Exactly.
Not when I have like an actual career. Like,
Exactly.
nah, I work a job that pays well. Like, I'm not spending $6,000 on this shit. Like, this is crazy. Like, for people to tell me like I'm the best female rapper in the city, I mean, I still am. But I mean, I don't care. Like, if y'all want that title, you can have it.
It's cool though.
It's not true, but I mean, you can have it. Like, cause I'm not gonna be spending that type of money, which is why you need. And I think that was my issue, is like not understanding all the business around. Right? Like there was a time when like I probably could have made, well, time is arriving once again, but which is crazy how God works things out full circle. But there was a time when like I probably could have made a killing off merch, but I didn't know what to do. Like or I had great ideas for merch. I was wearing my own shit and I thought my shit was dope, but I really just wasn't all that intent on selling it. Like like my merch became like my uniform. So I would go to shows and wear my own shit, my own jackets, my own hoodies, and my own tees. And it was fire. It's the same logo that I'm using right now. I own that shit, so don't try to steal it. But, I mean, there was like, Sam would tell you, he was at them shows, like, I was going to shows wearing my own shit. Like, and that was how I advertised, but I never sold any of it. Right? So I spent money on merch for me to wear, so I have a uniform in these situations. But you don't make any money off of it. You're just buying your own shit to wear your own shit. And there's nothing wrong with that if you have like intentions to build. But the problem is if you don't understand like the necessity of all the business behind it, you can't win like that. And you like engaging fully in your hobby, which is beautiful, and you should never stop doing that. But you need to understand your limitations when it comes to like your business.
Yes.
Right? You can love what you do and find a way to like fund it. Right? And I think like for me, I think so often artists feel like if they don't become Drake, if they don't become Cole, then they fail. And that's ridiculous and untrue. If you got 50 people you can get to come out to a show, you've already won, because there are so many artists with 10,000, 15,000, 50,000 followers on Instagram who couldn't get 50 people to come into a show. We could name names today, but we won't. But that's in the city. In DC, in Maryland, in Virginia, there are tons of artists with thousands of followers who couldn't get 50 people to come out to.
As a nigga booking these niggas.
Nature said it.
Right.
Bree said it. Like, now granted, Nature and Bree, shout out to OG Bree, who I adore. Her and Trilla are coming on the show, so shout out to shout out to Bree for getting that Trilla plug in. Love you, Bree. But like Bree and Nature have very different models for business, right? So Bree believes that as the promoter, it's her job to fill the venue so that you can focus on the artistry. Nature's model is that no, the artist needs to be able to bring certain things to the table so that they can consistently grow, because this is a business and business requires funding. I agree. So like your job is to do a little bit of everything. Yeah, you're the artist and you should absolutely make that your primary focus, but there's business behind it that enables you to win, to make money off of this, to make this like an economical power. And you're not doing that because you're so focused on the creative aspect of it. Like you're not also an entrepreneur behind that. So I think like they have very different business models, but I think both are important. I think both are valuable, and I think both are needed in the space. I agree. Right? So for me, I always try to like encourage artists to like know who you are,
Ooh, yes.
to know your business, to know all of the little things as well as all of the big ones, right? So you need to know how to record your own music, something I never learned.
Wow,
and it's always the biggest regret that I had.
Yes.
Always the biggest regret because it's going to save you thousands. Literally, it's going to save you thousands.
Is he preaching?
Like, so much of my budget was mixing and mastering.
Yes. Oh,
so, like, if I had been able to, like, save $1,000 on recording, right? And you can put that into your mixing and mastering. Like, how much have you saved yourself? Right? You're talking about your overhead in your creative, like, business, right? Like, you're your own overhead. You need to know how to control overhead in any business. Recording is part of the overhead. So it's like being a contractor who builds houses. I'm building my own house. How much money I save if I know how to build a foundation myself? Pour that cement myself. Put that drywall up myself. Right? If I know how to cement the foundation, literally, that saves me so much time, so much energy. And you know the other thing is that nobody know your shit like you know your shit. So there are like aspects of recording, there are aspects of artistry that only you hear.
Yes.
If you can record your own music, it gives you full control of the entire process. You're gonna make better music that way. Because it's hard to walk and engineer through every aspect of your idea. Music is just too fluid for that to be your process.
Sure.
Learn how to create your own shit. And it's avenues now where like you can do so much of this over your phone. Like the advancements in AI enable you to be able to do a lot of this right from your living room.
Literally.
Y'all gotta get into that. And I'm telling you, like learning AI is a part of it. Like every time I see you post some AI shit, I just be like, yes, for the fucking win. I use AI in my job. I'm an accountant.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to tell you, like, you need the shit.
You need it.
We take notes with AI every day, right? And the more you use an AI system, the bigger that system grows, the more intelligent it becomes. So if you're using those kind of avenues in any aspect of your business, whether that's ad promotion, whether that's like garnering likes and views, whether that's creating your own flyers, posters, and music, if you know how to do those things yourself, you're going to grow that system all on your own so that it understands you better.
You get it.
You know what I mean? Like, y'all better talk to this shit, man. Like, stop acting like you don't need no help. Ask people, right? And if you have friends that are artists and you see them doing something and you feel like it's admirable, have the conversation. It's a lot of ego in DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of ego. And I feel like it prevents people from being able to move into the next phase of their career. Honestly, that's probably like what I admire most about Sam is because I always feel like he was always open to the possibility of like whatever. Open to the possibility of changing the way something looks aesthetically, changing the way it sounds, changing the way that it feels, changing where it takes place, changing the people involved in it. Like Sam was always somebody open to change. Like, and I think even when we were in school, like Sam's house, right, before we were like fully engrossed was like always the safe space. His dorm room was always the safe space. And I feel like he creates that kind of environment like in his shows.
Yeah.
So like those very like internal things, like those characteristics that are innate to you. If you building your business, you carry all that shit with you anyway. You know what I mean? So growing and evolving doesn't have to mean like abandoning who you are. It's just like providing more space for that to grow, right? They say a goldfish only gets as large as the environment that it's in, right? And so such is the case with like every artist and creative. If you don't expand, you die. Or you stay the same as what you already are, which is death anyway.
I was going to say, damn.
Because if you're not growing and evolving, everybody else around you is.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're staying here and you feel like this is where I want to be, this is my pocket, but everybody else is growing and evolving around you, then what you've done is create a situation where you're stagnant and everybody else is moving forward. You left yourself behind.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So y'all gotta get into a space where you open to like asking for some help, open to like having conversations with the people right across from you, growing and expanding. And in some cases, where you start cutting some folks off. That's something we never talk about on here is the necessity of that. But I think that's a great segue into kind of like the real topic of the day, which is like fostering relationships and how important relationships are in your growth as a person, which then facilitates your growth as an artist, which I think ends up facilitating your growth as an entrepreneur. So that being said, Kasim, when you look back at kind of like your growth as a person, right? Whether that be your relationship with your parents, the friends that you've met along the way, how do you feel like the most negative or most traumatic relationships that you've had have impacted like you as an artist?
That's deep. So a couple of them, like I said. So the whole rap, like literally got the shit tatted on me, like the whole collective group shit. It really taught me how to stand up for myself. a lot of songs that were coming out would be everyone minus could sing, not because I wasn't good enough, but because people didn't want me to like be a part of things. And like I internalized that as my music not being good enough. And I promise I went like after the group like split, I went 3 years without dropping, which is one of the biggest mistakes I ever made because the way content works, people forgot I could rap. I know that sounds
Yes.
crazy, but you take
Which is crazy that if you don't create, people forget that you can.
people forget that you can
You
rap.
fall out of people's consciousness so quickly.
Yes.
Stop posting on Instagram for a month and see what happens.
Yes. Be like, oh shit, I forget. That's fine.
Crazy.
You rap? Nigga, you came to my show. But it's just like, people forget, and I get it. So it's just like, that taught me a lot. So now I'm like super hyperactive. Like I'm posting every day. I got a song coming out every month because like I'm not letting another year go by without me dropping 12 songs at least. You know what I mean? I'm not about to just drop one song a year and think I want it. It's like, fuck that.
Nah, facts.
What's the next song? Okay, what's the next video? You know what I mean? And like what I've been learning post that whole situation is the power of content. You know what I mean? The power of just posting, the power of having something to say, even if it's nothing.
Which can be obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like the necessity of having to post all the time now, that gets me.
It gets me, but it's like what I've loved about it is that I have made it as simple as possible so I can replicate it. So like for instance, like I've been doing these little ads with like my songs playing. It's just my outfits. I like it's things that like everything that I get naturally. Oh shit, I like the way you dress. All right, man. You make content about my outfits. You know what I mean? Like oh shit.
And I like the day in the life stuff. I really do. Like as a person who like kind of only watches YouTube now.
Yeah.
Like, cause I think that YouTube is like kind of the last space for fresh ideas.
Me too.
So I like mostly consume.
I love YouTube.
Right, because that's it when it comes to like new and exciting things.
Yeah.
And I really do love day in the life shit. Like it's like a couple. It's a couple that goes to Maryland, I think, and it's just day in the life stuff, like how we dress, the vacations we take, and I think day in the life shit is so fire. I find it to be so interesting, and I'm gonna tell you. When it comes to artistry, I find myself being a little more interested in artists that I do see day in the life shit. Like we're at a point now where like if I don't see that kind of thing, if you don't give me that kind of exposure, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. So once I got through that, boom, that was good. Then like even like relationships that we were talking earlier with like my parents. So like I unfortunately being Nigerian and American like culture, I can't. It's like a whole disconnect. You know what I mean? And so like. I had like a horrible disconnect with my parents growing up, and forgiving them, so my personal relationships got better. And as my personal relationships got better, so did my networking because I wasn't really trying to win. You know what I mean? I used to be really toxic and go to conferences and be like, yo, how many people can I like get to listen to my shit? Now I go to conferences and be like, how many people can I help? And not because like, I want to be like this philanthropist or anything. I definitely have a business, but my business is a service. If I have an AI ad agency, how many companies need ads that they don't have to book actors and settings and all these things? How can I provide solutions? And once I got through like the childhood trauma of like forgiving my parents, I was able to see every single individual that I met, especially strangers, as individuals instead of like mirrors for me to just lash out my own.
Yeah, projections of your own.
Yeah, and so like what ends up happening is like the convos get warmer, the connections get warmer, and people are willing to help you not because you're a good person, but because they like you. You know what I mean? And they don't even like you because you're like some mascot of like all of their hopes and dreams. They like you because you're just a genuine person. So it's like once I like literally started doing like the inner shadow work, I felt like Kasim the person became a better person, and then the opportunities came where Kasim the artist could shine. Because the opportunities were always there, but they weren't there for me because instead of me being a genuine person, I was clout chasing, I was cliquey, I was arrogant, you know, all these things that come with like somebody who, like I said, is Nigerian, born in American, who has like this gift and his parents don't understand it. So I always navigated this world until I forgave them with like, y'all niggas got me fucked up. Y'all niggas got me fucked up.
Always defense.
And it's like, nigga, I'm trying to meet you at a conference. Like, man, we're all here for a songwriting camp, and you over here talking about people got you fucked up, nigga. Like, who are you? What's your story? How can we connect? And so it's like, it takes a lot to do it, but I promise anyone who's listening, do the shadow work before you do the network. Because once you shadow work, then the network becomes like conversations. When the network feels like a job, you're never going to do it right. You're going to do it, but you're never going to do it right. And if you don't do it right, you waste the value of the relationship.
I swear.
And it's like one of the main things that I've done lately that I promise anyone who's listening, I know this sounds crazy. Just say yes more. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't make sense at the moment, if it makes sense in your heart that could work, say yes. Like, so like for instance, right? Me being a rapper, there's so many R&B artists who probably been like, yo, like, let's do this or let's do that. So, like, one of the coolest things I've done lately, there's a jazz drummer from London who found my content. Hit me up, was like, yo, I got this crazy record. I'm looking for an American rapper. Can you rap on it? He sends me the beat. The beat is super jazzy, which is fire, but it wasn't what I was looking for at the time. I said yes. It took me 2 weeks to write this show. Like, I'm like, where's the fucking pocket? You know what I mean? Where's the pocket? Where's the pocket? But as soon as I found the pocket, I found my groove. Sent him the record. He's playing it in London. Now people in London hearing me rap. He's like, yo, like when you get a chance, since you got a passport, we trying to throw a show soon. You trying to do a show in 2025? I'm like, yeah. So it's just like you do something, even if it feels weird, even if it feels kind of scary, and just let it happen. If it doesn't happen, at least you did it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So that's been like a lot of where I've been trying to figure things out at.
Which is so important. Like to get to a space where like you stop projecting all your things onto not just the people around you. Because I feel like we tend to like boil everything down to like relationships with the opposite sex, right? Which I think is just so reductive. And everything that people post, they assume that it's got to be about like a significant other. Like, you know, people have friendships too, right?
Nice.
But like, I think that we tend to like project, reduce, and then ultimately destroy because we weren't able to figure out soon enough that like the way we behaved or the way we handled a situation was a manifestation of like our own insecurities or a manifestation of our own problems, as opposed to like us approaching a situation genuinely, openly, and without fear and without projection, so that we could like really see what was going on. Like, and I truly like believe in that. And I think I started late, but better late than never.
Same.
As far as like shadow work, I feel like I was a person who like was always real defensive. And that's mostly because like I did come from like a positive like 2-parent household, but it was a lot of shit going on around me. And so I think like it made me only feel safe with my people. And so like if I let people in and there was any issue as far as the safety past that point, like I lost it. Because it took so much for me to let you in and like look how you acted. So, and that's like in friendships, that's like in a lot of different ways. Like I am a very sensitive person because I come from a more spoiled environment. So I think like so often we put a lot of the problems in our community on like fatherless homes or single mothers. Now you got problems in 2-parent households too. I'm a witness to that. So like, no, I didn't come from an environment where like my mom was my superhero and my dad's the best. But ultimately, like I had a stepfather, and so that has some impact too. But I think really more than anything, like I did come from like a very coddled environment. Right? I went to a Catholic prep school, and I grew up around a lot of rich kids, and then there was only more white kids when I went to college. This guy, he will tell you firsthand, it was a very racist campus. We used to have pickup trucks riding through with guns out, pointed at us and shit. And so it was like going from this like very safe, very coddled environment of like what good counsel was to like this very open carry racist West Virginia, like this West Virginia like town, which was crazy to us because like if we boil it just down to economics, right, which is what everything boils down to, whether you're an artist, a business owner, an accountant, a teacher, everything boils down, a person, everything boils down to economics. It's gonna be hard to be happy if you can't pay your bills. So when you talk about like boiling things down to economics, when you talk about a school like Frostburg or a school like West Virginia, right, those economies are dependent on the students, right? So 70 to 80% of your economy is dedicated to that student population. The restaurants that you have in that area, the stores that you have in that area, the businesses that you frequent are 70% frequented by students, right? So in an environment where the student population is like 20% Black, the athletic population is 70% Black, and the athletic population brings in 85% of the income. For you to behave like you don't want us there is odd. because without us, your economy fails. So we're not gonna get into all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like so often I have to give you motherfuckers an economy lesson, and I hate to do it.
love that.
But the truth is,
I love
I went from an environment of like complete and total safety to an environment of like racism and detraction with people who did not want us there, even though we were the basis of the economy. And it changes the way you see the world. I went to a white prep school and never encountered that. Good Counsel was the most friendly place. And I do feel like as much as it prepared me as an intellectual, right? I always feel like the smartest person in the room. But as much as it prepared me as an intellectual, it did not prepare me for the way the world really works. It was Frostburg and West Virginia that prepared me for the way the world really works, which is that the world don't really like niggas. Right? But I didn't know that because I went to a white high school, a predominantly white high school, where I was not treated as different. Yeah. I got treated like I was like special in a way. And so like it does like change your view of the world to then be placed in an environment where like you are literally not safe. And it's not just that. A fucking bear on campus, like sophomore year or something, trying to get into one of the rest. Do you remember that shit? It was so wild. The bear almost got into one of the dorm rooms. Like, I'm from fucking Temple Hills, Maryland. Like, now there's a bear trying to enter my dorm room. Like, what kind of shit is that? Completely off topic, but the point being, when you come from an environment of safety and then you are placed in situations where you no longer feel safe, it does make you more guarded. Oh, for sure. And I think that only grew as I got older. I became like more guarded. And you got to do like the inner work in order to be able to like honestly look at yourself and say like, nah, there's some shit going on with me that need to change. Or that needs to go. Right? Yeah, because the guardedness makes sense. But the only issue that I've learned is that you block your blessings from not connecting. For sure. Because like the guardedness keeps you from connecting. Yeah, exactly. It keeps you from connecting. And I think it keeps you from like, even if you are able to connect, you will ruin connections if you haven't like healed yourself. Fact. So there were connections that I ruined that like I'm never going to get back. And then there were connections that I messed up that I was able to recover. Right? And all of that is a reflection of your growth, right? You got to be able to go to people and say like, I'm sorry. Like, I made a mistake. You know what I mean? Like I think so many of the issues with artists in this community specifically, when you talk about DC, when you talk about Maryland and Virginia, this is an ego-driven city. Yes. And I think when you are in a city that is this ego-driven, if you're not able to humble yourself in order to like create a better situation for your product, you're going to have a problem every time. And you won't create a better situation. And it doesn't help your artistry. It doesn't help your growth. Right? You got to be able to honestly get a critique about what you're making so that you know if it's good or not. Not all the shit that you're making is good. That's great. That's all right. That's real. Right? If you don't make some bad shit, then you don't appreciate the great shit. You're not trying hard enough. If you don't make some bad stuff along the way, no matter what that is, if that's film, if that's television, if that's music, whatever the hell you're doing, if you don't make some mistakes along the way in order to aid in your growth, in order to make you better, I don't know how you think you're gonna win. Because every artist that I love got some duds in the midst of it. Yeah. And duds, personally, what I'm learning about duds, sometimes they're duds. Sometimes they're duds. It's crazy. Sometimes they're just things that, like, the masses don't appreciate. Yeah. So Pimp a Butterfly is a masterpiece, but it wasn't necessarily embraced by the masses. I was going to say, that's a good... Another example for me was Views. Like, I thought Views was trash when it first came out. For sure. And years removed, I love that. Fact. You know what I mean? Years removed, I'm like, damn. I really do. Yeah, I really. Or there were, like, things that were, like... diamonds in the rough or not appreciated enough in their own time. And I love them. I think A. Marie's All I Have is one of the greatest R&B albums I've ever heard. And it did not get that's the huge one thing, right? No, that was the album before one. So this is Why Don't We Fall in Love? What? Exactly. Okay. A perfect song. I know that's a perfect song. I don't know the album. A perfect song, and All I Have was the album from that. And honestly, like very close. And I don't say this often, but there are some perfect R&B albums along the way to me. I think All I Have is one of them. I think Iridium is one of them. Who? Daniel Caesar's first album. Oh, Freudian. I probably said it wrong. I love that album. I like the second one better. I love that one too, but the first one, like, from Get You, the best part, and he just kept going. Yeah, facts. I was like, you got it. Where you take me, you got it. Oh, no, that was his first album. Yeah. Right, you think about that one. Right. Yeah, that's fine. He went crazy. He ruined his career.
Yeah, from Get You to
Another lesson in pride and ego.
Yeah.
He thought he was too big for black girls. He fucked up. He said that shit out loud, and his
Yeah.
career been dead ever since.
Yeah.
Clown shit.
Man.
Even if you a clown, sometimes it's better not to say nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Drake was the man for 15 years before we found out like he was like a real live clown. We always knew he was corny, but we loved and embraced that corny because he loved and embraced that corny about himself.
Yeah.
Can't do nothing but appreciate a corny nigga who knows.
I know we're talking about relationships, but on the topic of the perfect album from R&B, I gotta give my man Jay Holiday a shout out. That
Ooh.
You thought
So
that
I'm
was
gonna
perfect
know who
Holidays'
records.
first album.
Bad.
I thought it was a great. I thought it was a great fatal.
Oh my God!
I still think
track after track that I was like, yo,
Fatal is still on the playlist.
Yeah.
I really thought Jay Holiday was about to be that big.
Yeah. Low key. Another one for me. Another one for me, low key. Yeah, of course, Lauren.
Only one.
SOS, bro. SOS. My sister is flawless to me.
It's a great album.
That joke.
I can't call it perfect though.
Okay, not flawless. That's about.
I can't call it perfect. I
But
can't call it
it's
flawless.
really incredible.
It's incredible.
Like,
But I think there's a difference between like a incredible R&B album and a flop. Donnell Jones,
okay.
Where I Want to Be is a perfect album.
Yeah.
There's no skips on that whole thing. Even the interludes are perfect. I think Are You Still Down? John B, a perfect R&B album. I think like Crazy in Love.
Beyonce.
There we go. Now you done brought me in the fold.
Crazy in Love. I don't care what y'all say. And I know that she is the biggest.
Oh, yeah.
That she is the greatest commercial success that we know. Fuck all that. Crazy in Love is a perfect R&B album.
Okay, I respect
It still rises. To me, that's the definition of perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Because these albums, like, I think we've forgotten. These are 20-year-old albums.
And that's why I love it so much.
And they're still, like, the best thing that you've heard.
That's why I love it so much. That's why I love, like, even listening to like the Maxwell, like the way he like just like glides through his like legacy act phase, like the NPRs and the Sold Out Arenas.
Facts.
Yeah, Brian, he's incredible.
Super fun.
Like Ascension, like
SWV's also a perfect NPR. SWV's was perfect. It was perfect. You know why? Because every one of those songs was as good as what you hear on the record.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do when you're like a singer. Because a lot of times that mic don't be on.
And it's not only that, it's when you're a singer 20, 30 years removed. It'd be one thing you were singing a song just came out. But
And I'm telling you, the songs were I thought that they were actually a little better. Because I love a live band. I love a live band that complements
Me too.
an NPR or a Tiny Desk performance. Because I feel like not all of those bands are complimentary. If we're
Facts.
real.
T-Pain's first.
Woo! When he showed you that it wasn't auto tune. When he showed you that it wasn't auto tune.
I was like, he doing
I was like,
right
he
now,
could sing. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I had like a whole reaction, but he could sing.
Facts.
That was really what
Facts.
launched me into it. I was like, all right, I'm officially a Tiny Desk fan.
And never forget Usher.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Usher is kind of the standard though. Like it's
Yeah.
almost not fair to mention him with
Another
everybody
one-
else because his Tiny Desk is the standard.
Yeah.
It's all of the hit records.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another one is Anderson .Paak. I'm a huge Anderson fan.
Fire.
The drumming and singing and drumming and rapping.
He's crazy for
Introduced
that.
you to the band for real. I'm finding out that band members wrote some of the songs on the project was crazy.
Facts.
Yeah.
Free Nationals are fire.
Free nasty.
Shout out to the Free Nationals. Who create great albums all on their own, by the way.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are some perfect ones out there.
Great
Which
relationships, man. This is what it is.
that's what I'm saying though.
Mhm.
Like you need relationships for every aspect of your life, whether
I
that's
agree.
like with regard to your creative capacity,
Mhm.
right? A lot of people find themselves either in their best or worst position based on the relationship that they're in to be able to create. Right? Sometimes the worse you feel, the better you write. Sometimes the better you feel, the worse you write, right? Or vice versa. And so like your relationships go into like your actual like creative ingenuity. And then they go into like your desire to create, right? Sometimes people get their heart broken and they quit things, and then other people get their heart broken and they go full force. Future
Yes.
is a great example.
Wow.
Shout out to you, Boogie.
Shout out, Boogie. Love you over here.
Love you over here.
But real shit, like I think like there are people who enter your life and like they either add to the things that you have going on or they take away, right? And I think that that's completely your decision.
I agree.
I think that you can like make the determination on whether this person is gonna like add or subtract.
I agree.
And I think you gotta be open and honest with yourself about like where a person like sits in your situation. I ain't gonna say no names, you know what I'm saying?
I
But
think people let you know whether they add or subtract from your life. It's your decision
To listen.
Because as an
I like the way
artist,
you put that.
yeah, but as an artist, right? Because you were talking about how like new things around position things feel are correct. When you have somebody who's very close to you, especially when they're able to make you so happy, you want that to be able to continue in every aspect of your life. It's hard to compartmentalize love. So when that's stretched for me, it's impossible. It's just that's my life. So in dealing with the opportunity to place people like, okay, you're taking away from me, so I need to just spend time with you when I'm doing this, and then when I'm doing this, I need to step away from you. I think that's a strength that I admire. One that I don't necessarily hold or live by. That's the reason I shouted out Boogie, because the reason I was able to take the strides and steps that I have more recently is because I found a love that allows me to be myself without feeling like I am overbearing or taking away from the great person.
I love that
she
for you.
needs to be as well.
I love that.
Oh, thank you very much. But that definitely is a healing portion for me, where and we've been friends for a long time. I definitely had some friends that, or some girlfriends that led away from my creative.
We ain't gonna say your name, but bitch, you know who you are.
Yeah.
You are so real and so funny.
I know all them girls. I was there for all them girls. I was there for Boogie. Let me say this, all right? Say this on camera. Who told you? Who told you that it was always gonna be Boogie? I said it. I told you that 15 years ago.
Wow.
I wasn't the person that I am now. So
Yeah, that's real.
that person.
But girls know.
Was not ready for.
No, that person is not ready.
The person that she is.
That person. But I'm
Amen.
telling you,
Yo, I
that
love
person
this.
is a vicious whore.
Man.
Different time in all of our lives.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, listen to your female friends who really care about you.
Fact.
Now, speaking of relationships, I think it's so important to have good friends of the opposite sex who you have not dated, who you have not had a physical relationship with, who you have not had feelings of intimacy towards. Those are the mandatory items. If y'all used to fuck, you not friends. I don't care what you say. Or not to say that. I take that back.
Yeah.
You can fuck and still be friends. But I think that it's complicated. You can't make love and still be friends. Yeah. You could fuck and still be friends. But you cannot make love and still be friends. If you was like, if y'all was like bonding while y'all, no.
There was a couple that's
if y'all was looking in each other's eyes and shit, and they kissing each other's mouth,
even if you said I
none of that.
in the moment.
Nah, I don't think you can. I'm gonna be honest. Like the truth is, and I'm telling you this as a woman, it is imperative for men to have female friends who love you, who have no motive behind being friends with you, and who want to see the best for you. Because their vision for you is so much different than your vision for yourself. And we see bitches coming. It's the truth. You see, like, because there are like very small things, right? Things that I think would like escape a man because he's so focused on the aesthetic. Men are very visual, right? So women are attracted by what we hear and men by what they see. So I'm listening to this girl in a way that you may not be listening to her just yet because you're a little more focused on your physical, right? It's early or whatever, right? So I recall an incident, and I was so right about this bitch, where, not to give away all the details because all my friends watch my show, but there was an incident with a young lady where one of my mans had introduced her to us. She had come around a couple of times. I wasn't necessarily a big fan, but I didn't really like know her, right? So I don't judge people. I know a lot of people say, well, I'm judging based on energy. That's ridiculous because a person may be having a bad day, and that's y'all problem.
I appreciate
y'all like a person's energy the first time that you meet them has nothing to do with their character or their soul or who they truly are. It's how you're receiving that is the first thing. And the second thing is people are allowed to have a bad day. Yeah. You might have met that person on a bad day. You got to give a little grace. Y'all so perfect, I know. But you need to give people a little grace. So I had met the girl a few different times. I didn't love the energy, but you know, anybody can have a bad day. I just figured, you know, maybe I was wrong about it. And I remember right before they had kind of like made that thing official and the disaster set in, and it was a disaster. She said something that I thought, I don't like her. And I'll never forget it. Mind you, this is like 3 years ago, but I'll never forget what she said. So we were having a conversation about work ethic. And we were having a conversation about the importance of like moving towards your dreams, right? Of putting yourself in position. All the same things that I'm saying to you right now. And I remember her saying like, no, like if I want something, it's mine. I don't have to like, if I decide that I don't like put that work in, like it's not going to change what my destiny is. Like I'm going to have what I'm meant to have. And whether or not I put in all the work necessary, like I'm still going to have what I'm supposed to have. Like, cause that's the way the universe works. Like the things that are meant to be mine are naturally attracted to me. And I thought it was the rant of a lazy and entitled woman. And I still feel that way because that is like biblical.
Not logical.
That faith without work is what? Exactly. So for you to like, we like have like kind of moved into this culture of like manifestation,
Yes.
like, which are just like new age terms for things that we grew up learning in church. And I am a church kid, so I do have a slanted perspective, and I admit that. But you know, I'm a sinner. And everybody know that too. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you know what I mean? So I do have, I think, like a very honest perspective, especially when it comes to people. And I think that anybody who believes that they don't have to work to get the things that they want is gonna be a problem.
And they don't deserve.
And I don't care, like, because you haven't worked for it. In order to accomplish things, in order to achieve things, you're gonna have to put some work in.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. And anybody who doesn't agree with that, I feel like tends to be a little lazier. And they're a person who, like, when there are problems, whether that be in that relationship, whether that be in whatever that situation is, you cannot count on that person to put in the work to fix it. And guess what? Guess what she did? She ain't put in no work to fix nothing. I think the hoe still ain't got no job. So at the end of the day, like, I think it's important to know, like, I think it's important to have people around you who can help you like figure out things that you may not be able to yet see.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, and I often find that like men who do not have positive relationships with women without all the entanglements tend to be like at a little bit of a loss in this life. I feel the same way about women though. But I feel the same way about relationships as a whole. I feel like women need female friends. I think women need male friends for balanced perspective. I think men need male friends. Because I've known men in this life who didn't have no male friends. I dated a guy. That guy that I brought to school that time.
I love how you're that guy.
He was such a loser. I was 19, so like, I mean, what did I know? You know what I'm saying? But I was dating a guy who came to my campus. He was supposed to be coming for the weekend, ended up staying the weekend, was trying to stay longer. Loser. And it's true. You ain't got no job. I'm talking about this guy was like willing to like get fired just so he could stay on the college campus. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
So, and as a grown adult, like, fuck you on. Like, go the fuck home, nigga. But I was young, you know what I mean? And it's just like, oh, my boyfriend's here for the week, right?
Yeah.
It's cute. And not like, you need to go back home and go to work. But I remember like this guy like not having any male friends really. And I think like when we used to discuss that, because that's something that I've always valued, and I know a lot of people like make assumptions about me, like, oh, like, no, I have like plenty of girlfriends, and I think it's necessary, and I think you shouldn't trust women that don't have any girlfriends. I'm always a little leery of women who like, I don't trust women, or you can't trust bitches, and bitches be so fake, and like, no, they're projections of you. That's the real. You haven't made any, if you don't have any friends of the same sex, that's scary to me. Because the truth is, as a woman with a lot of male friends, right? I've known Sammy for 15 years. That's my dog.
It's been a while now. Do not approach me with any of the names that you've heard.
Don't call him that. You don't call him that.
It's so funny because I only know him as Samora.
Slip.
Real bad.
Okay.
Let me get back on my Oprah shit. You know what I'm saying? But like for real, I've known S'mores for a long time, and he will tell you like, no, I women need female friends.
Oh yeah.
I don't trust a woman that doesn't have it, because like a woman who cannot get along with women, she got stuff going on the inside, right? And it's nothing wrong with like if you're a loner and you're just a person who like doesn't want to be around people. Like if you're a person that like feels like, well, I don't have any friends, like I'll be by myself. There's nothing wrong with that. But somebody, that's a totally different thing. Being a loner is something else. But not being able to get along with people of the same sex, men who can't keep male friendships, you don't think that's weird? I do think it's a little weird, and maybe I'm being a little judgy.
No, it's weird. It's weird.
But I think that's kind of strange. Like, if men don't have any male friends, which he didn't, he always talked about how men were like so treacherous and you couldn't trust them, and I'm just like, nah, I have a lot of male friends I can trust.
I mean, low-key.
My fault. But take away from any of the judginess of it. I feel like if you're a non-binary, you don't have any non-binary friends, things are weird about you. I feel like if you're a girl, you don't have any girlfriend, you're a man, you don't have any man. If you are of a certain
community
and you choose not to involve yourself in that community, I feel like there are portions of yourself that you don't accept and aren't willing to share.
That's deep.
You should work on that so that you can embrace the fullness of who you are. Because you don't really allowing yourself to be a certain set.
That's deep.
You know what I'm saying?
And the truth is, like, as a girl who has a lot of male friends, there are just parts of your womanhood that your guy friends don't understand. And that's not strange. It's not weird. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, there are parts of a woman that men don't understand because they're not a woman. Just like there are parts of men that women don't understand because we're not men. And there's nothing wrong with that. And no matter what your, like, gender identification is, I think it's important to have friends within your community. Whatever that community is.
I agree.
Because I think that, as Sam said, like, I'm sorry, some more said, there are...
Real family.
There are parts of you that can only be explored through your given community. It's just the truth.
Chosen community.
Through your chosen community, right? Whatever your thing is. And I truly believe, like, whatever, like, people are born the way that they are, and there's nothing wrong with whatever, but at the end of the day, like, I truly feel like you need people in your own community. You need people who understand, like, exactly what you're going through from your level. Right? Like, that's a reason why, like, the relationship between your mother and your father, if you were fortunate enough to have those relationships, have such impact on you. Right? Because you, as a woman, I see so much of who I'm becoming in who my mother is. Right? I see so much of my choices concerning men in my father. Right, so like my father is good with his hands. He's a guy's guy, but not very communicative. I find myself to be drawn to men who are strong and don't always communicate. And sometimes that's a negative and sometimes that's a positive. But you, like, so much of like how you see the world is impacted by the community around you. Make some friends, right? And show yourself friendly. I'm not always great at that. Most of the time I'm a little more selective. I have choice now. Like all y'all, and I don't be wanting everybody around me. But the truth is, like, show yourself friendly, right? And then use that, like, genuine nature to, like, build and grow every other community that you're trying to manifest, right? I think the better you are as a human being, the better every network is, right? So I agree with you totally when it comes to that. Right? I think that that's real.
No, that's real. And like one of the things I've learned, especially like as I've like aged myself into like the crypto world, is also don't make a lot of friends. I know that's like completely opposite of what you're saying, but it's like what's happening as well is that like on the economic front, because we were talking about economics as well, it's like a lot of the protection of self is just like understanding what to share. You know what I mean? Like, my biggest issue growing up is that I've always felt like I had to share everything. And as I shared everything, the relationships were based off of what I shared. And then when I was like, yo, you know what? Let me like guard that. Let me guard this. Let me guard that. Then this you change. You know what I mean? So also, in the addition of building relationships, find these safe spaces where you can share what you want to share and keep it at a boundary. Because my biggest mistake growing up, and a lot of why my relationships faltered, was that I didn't have the boundaries that I needed. And because the boundaries weren't there, I felt resentment on my end. And then when I stood up for myself, it was you change. So it's like, find that balance because not everyone's your friend.
Sure.
And the way relationships really, really work, in addition to everything we just said to anyone who needs to hear this, is that relationships work because they work. They don't work because you want to make them work. You know what I mean? Like, the more and more effort you're making and the less effort they're making, it's not a relationship. It's just you dragging someone along or you trying to keep them along. And it's just like, just understand that, like, not everyone's for you. So it's like, in addition to building relationships, know who your tribe is. Like, the fact you said chosen community, that's the example. It's the same thing I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's just like, know what it's about. Like, because like even with me, like by the time this comes out, I will be in a whole nother state, in a whole nother community. And one of the main reasons why I did it, beyond the whole like idea of like, oh, I want to follow my dreams, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. To be transparent with y'all, it's like I've been building relationships with that community over there, and that community just happens to treat me better than my community here. And it's not that my community here sucks or anything, but it's just like I don't get what I need. You know what I mean? And just when you learn that, just go. Like, don't even question it. Just go. The reason why you have to go is because life is short, and life isn't short because it's a quote. Life is short because of climate change. Life is short because of the microplastics. There's so many reasons why life is short. We just lost DJ Clark. Rest in peace, DJ Clark.
Rest in peace, DJ.
So it's like you
Sure.
gotta live your life. And
That man Scoop right before that.
you know what I mean? And it's like when you see, like, unfortunately, when you see things like that happen, the power of DJ Clark isn't the sneakers he had. Yes, he has sneakers. Yes, he DJ'd and he did work with Biggie, but it was the relationships he built by traveling and mingling and meeting new people. He didn't just stay in Brooklyn, you know what I mean? So expand. A part of relationship building is the expansion. Meet strangers for the first time in a whole new place and see where that can go. Not because you want to like force a relationship with them, but because you're in Bermuda. Why not just have a conversation with somebody in Bermuda? You know what I mean? And just like get to know yourself outside of your comfort zone. That will allow your relationships to like 10x. Not because these people are worth more than the people who are in your hometown, but because you are worth more than you were in your hometown. And now you're out of your comfort zone.
So I actually have a question regarding that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about like you weren't getting what you needed from the community here, what do you feel like was like the biggest barrier that you encountered? Like what was the problem as far as you not getting what you needed?
So without like sounding like bratty, because I'm not a brat, what happens is a lot of things, especially in this area, which is a great area, it's a lot of scarcity. And with scarcity comes like opportunities that are presented to friends. And so it's like, to be transparent with you, I was never going to get on Broccoli City. Not because I'm not talented enough, but because like Broccoli City has a community and they know exactly who they want to put on. I still want to perform at festivals. There's only one festival a year in here. I'm not going to just stay around knowing that I can't get on Broccoli City, knowing I want to do festivals. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when I say things I need, it's not really like some random like invisible intangible thing. It's like no opportunities. Like let me do, even if it was a small festival. Like literally when I was there in LA last time performing and doing this like that, instantly you finish your performance, it's like, yo, my name is such and such and such and such. I do this, I do that, and oh yeah, I also run festivals. I'm looking for artists like you out of town. So it's like the opportunities come for you. It's not that I don't want to perform at Broccoli City. I would love to eventually, but I want to perform at festivals. I'm not going to wait for you to give me the festival opportunity because I want to perform at festivals. So when I say that the opportunities exist, what I'm saying is like, especially for anyone who's listening, we were talking about it earlier. It's like we're a lot of stu kids. I've never lived outside of the DMV. I am 30 years old. You know what I mean? So it's just like there's no way I could be 31, 32, 33 not performing at a festival because I can't be on Broccoli City. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's like one example, and it's not an attack on Broccoli City. Just an example of the scarcity. There's only one festival. With that one festival, there's only so many people that can be on the lineup that are from here.
They did have that DMV festival recently in Waldorf.
I want to say I got to shout out a couple of festivals. At least the one that was in Bowie, the Baltimore inaugural, Baltimore Center Stage inaugural festival. Shout out to y'all. Having us out there. Yeah, but
the concept of scarcity is very
doesn't eliminate scarcity.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. Because I get what he's saying. Like,
no,
there are other ones, but that
The
doesn't
one-
change the concept of scarcity,
Yeah,
right?
the
If
one-
there are 5 in this small area, it's still only 5.
Yeah, and it's just like, no offense, those other ones I didn't even know. Not because like I'm like living in the box, but because of the marketing. You know, the marketing dollars, the headliners, you know what I mean? Like headliners, the event and stuff, like everyone knows as soon as like March comes, oh, it's Solana this year,
Sure.
And it's like I've been to them, I've been to like 4 of them. You know what I mean? So like I'm a part of the community of an audience aspect, but it's like, man, there's been times I've been like trying to wiggle myself in, like, yo, I do AI art, but I just graphic design just to get in. And it's just like really cutthroat and really like clicky. And I respect it. Everyone got a brand to protect. But what I've learned is that I can't let my life be halted by the brand that other people gotta protect. I gotta go out to the world that already wants my brand. You know what I mean? Like there's people out in the West who like literally I'm moving literally in a week. Literally within 2 weeks I'm shooting a video. You know what I mean? And it's just like not because like I'm the flyest thing in the world because I built relationships and people want me there. So it's like go where you're wanted and let those relationships work as well. Because a lot of what I've learned with my dealing of like handling relationships is like the best relationships after you make the one with yourself and the one with your higher power is the one you can make with a stranger that could change your life. Not because like the people in your life hate you, but because sometimes some strangers just have access to resources.
Now, facts.
And it's like those resources matter. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And when you get out of your space, when you get out of your comfort zone, like I said, I've never lived out of the DMV my entire life. So this is all raw dog, exit comfort zone, continue phase. There's no telling what the ceiling can be by just maximizing the moment. So it's like when you maximize your moment, people receive that. And when they receive that, they're way more willing to help.
And also, like, reiterating that you don't have the time that you think you have. Like,
Yes.
if a moment occurs in your life right now, you need to make the most of that particular moment. It may not come again.
Yes.
You're thinking like, well, I wasn't ready, and so when I get ready, no, you need to create a situation where
That's
you're
a trap.
ready. You need to get yourself ready.
And shout out to the current DMV scene of really starting to push and make it so that we can have the next step. I know I don't really like a bunch of topics, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this. But even the creation of this podcast, Legacy Works in the City, these are steps that we didn't have in the time where you were the lead rap mayor coming out of our area. We didn't have these tools. And as a person who was making the podcast at that time, shout out to the All We Got family. And we did that for 10 years, putting on artists. And we put on a lot of headlining artists of today, and they show love back. And I'm very grateful for the community here in DC for the love that they show me. I did step away for 7 years. I lived in New York, and I stepped away at a funny time in the creative scene here in DC. So I'm looking forward to you stepping away, and I'm looking forward to your opinion after a few years.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Because I definitely think that it'll grow and mature. But you've already shown that you're such a mature person. I'm looking forward to that. But this area in particular in the DMV is at we're at that point where Atlanta was 15 years ago.
I agree.
Where that change can happen right now because of our quote-unquote OGs, because of our current standing members of the community who have accepted their role. 15 years ago, you were always this well-spoken. I mean, this entire time, and I hate to use the word well-spoken for Black people, but you've always been well-spoken. You've always had this. But at this point in your life is when you can take it and treat it as the true gift that it actually is. And be able to turn it over into this. I mean, this is amazing. It is amazing. I'm in love with the fact that I'm here right now. But beyond that, it's just that I had to jump in and say something for the people that are in this area that are working and grooving to create that community. That's real. Shout out to the Whammies. I really hope that you guys get in line with the BC Festival, because those two events happening on the same day should never happen again. And it's such an important thing that we have the Whammies in this area. It's such an important thing that we have DMV life in this area. It's such an important thing that we have all of these working pieces of the puzzle that have for so long been these stretched out working pieces that are now starting to come together. And this cog is turning in the same motion as this cog. So now we're all making this motion. Really starting to grow and stretch in the DMV. So
I agree.
Shout out to the DMV, and big shout out to you making your stretch. And I'm looking forward to your return.
I appreciate
that. That you're able to bring back from LA.
No, honestly, that was beautiful. I appreciate that. That was well said.
Speaking of articulate.
Because like that's real. Because it's like even with my leap of faith, because that's what I like to like call it. I don't like to look at it like I'm running away from anything. I'm leaping.
And you're not.
Yeah, I'm leaping into purpose. But I love the way you worded that, because you're right. Like the Whammy is absolute. Like there's so many. Like I agree 100% with the 15 years away from Atlanta thing, and just like the whole Whammies and the BC Fest, all of that. I will just say to anyone out there, also use the internet, because the internet is how I'm doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I didn't just like come to LA, knock on someone's door and be like, yo, can y'all accept me? I kept posting content. People on the internet was like, yo, this shit's fire. I'm in LA. You know what I mean? Like I went to Complex Con last year, not because I paid for it, but because I kept posting content, and somebody from Complex was like, yo, you're fire. Can you pull up to the festival?
Facts.
So it's just like you gotta post because the relationships aren't just local. Like it's so cool that we love our local area, but it's like don't forget your community online because the world is flat when you look online.
Good call.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
And you know what? I'm just curious because I know like you do have like a more balanced perspective because like you were in Baltimore for so long, right? And a lot of your collective lives there, it's from there, right? And then you were in New York building for like almost a decade. So like when you look at kind of the obstacles that you encounter, not just here, but also like in New York, right? Because you did end up coming home. Like kind of what were like the things that you were just like, nah, it's time to go back, and like, you know, kind of the things that you encountered here that kept you there, right? So because there is this like duality with your situation. It's like, well, I didn't come back to DC because New York was treating me so well, but then I came back from New York eventually because of whatever. So when you look at kind of the duality of like you're being a military brat, being from all over the country, being in so many different places, living in New York at that period of time, having a collective that's almost like based out of Baltimore, being from here, like, you know, since like you've been here since you were what, like 10? Yeah. Okay. So crazy. But, right? Okay. So like when you kind of look at like the duality that is your life, like what were the obstacles that you encountered between like here, between New York, and kind of like what grounded you to make you say like, no, I think this is what we're gonna make home for a while.
The reality of it, and I love to say that it was some grand thing. I came back and take care of my parents. It's into their 60s and
that's right.
And my mom and my brother got COVID. So I was like, and I'm living in New York in the heart of COVID, not getting COVID. I'm like, clearly I don't know how to live your life. So how did you get COVID? Yeah. And I'm living in New York City, not getting COVID. So yeah, I had to bring my ass back home and take care of them. The thing that New York taught me that I will say, you spoke of it earlier, and I'm glad that you brought it back so that I can mention it. It was the relationships that I was able to garner in New York that allowed me to come back home and not be asked out. You know what I'm saying? Because while I was in New York, I started off as a PA my very first gig. Shout out to Boogie again. Who literally, I was in my room with no idea about what I was going to do with my life. I had graduated with a degree in fucking philosophy. I'm so sorry. That's what it was. I've always been this way. So I went to school and I studied philosophy and became a black philosopher out here in the world, in America. So who's looking for that? Thankfully, hip hop. So yes. I was pushing my music into the point where I was getting into that dollar amount. It's like you have to have this different dollar, and in order to have a 9 to 5 and to be a full-time artist, it didn't work out for me. I just couldn't do it. I know people who could. It didn't work out for me. Yeah. So I was at this crossroads of what I was going to do. So I ended up going to New York to work as a PA. It was a significant pay cut to go to New York and be a PA. However, it was a freedom. So I'm on set, literally being an artist all day. And because New York is sexist as fuck, I was able to climb the ladder very fast. And I became a producer very fast. Wow. So
I love your honesty.
Shout out to B5.
Oh yeah, for sure. And big shout out to B5. Big shout out to Armel.
Love you, Armel. It's subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast because he is. He tell me every week. Nah, I got the notification. You know,
he on his shit.
Shout out to Armel.
One of our shining stars, who also came by way of hip hop.
Yes.
So yeah, the thing that helped me out from New York to this area that was a consistent hump that I needed to get over was the desire for my team to be huge. Because I wanted to help so many people, I thought that in order to help them, I had to bring them very, very close. And the reality was that Mia described me as an empath in getting ready for this episode, and I agreed with that because my issue was it didn't matter what you had going on. It didn't matter if I could see your red flags being like big fat ass. Like you're wearing a red dress with red lipstick, like a little, and I'm like,
we're Six Flags.
If I'm to make it seem like it was just the women I was dealing with, my friends were shit. Yeah. I had to grow to a point where it wasn't, like you said earlier, it wasn't just me giving so much, or it wasn't me feeling the need to take because I've given so much. People respond to that, and you have changed. You did act funny.
I did. Yeah.
Even though it's a point of maturity, even though you're acting funny and you're changing up was because you grew, it was still to the people who are in the space that you're in, nigga, you're just acting funny. Like, what are you doing?
That's
so
right.
I had to understand in those moments how to let people go.
Yes.
Super hard.
And to be honest with you, I let so many people go
That you got
that God has given me the blessing of being able to understand who y'all are back and who to keep around. And I didn't have that ability at first, where it was just like whoever crosses me, I'm gonna give you an ultimatum. This is how you can fix crossing. Or fuck it. And the understanding of what fuck it really meant brought me to the point where I can say, okay, fuck that motherfucker. But this is genuine love. So let me do what it takes to grow myself, to foster this relationship into us being amazing, into us getting the thing that God truly intends for me. And I'm raised by two pastors.
That's dope.
So I truly believe
Damn, it all connects.
Yeah.
Philosophy, the past.
Yeah,
I love it.
Military, bro.
S'mores and life is so interconnected, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew how, like, aligned, like, everything is with this guy, you would know to stop playing with him.
It's
When I try to step off the path, I tried to
Yeah.
step off the path. Like I said, that 9 to 5 thing. My parents sent me to school. I know I got a degree in philosophy, but I was 6 feet in it. So I wasn't blocking my blessings to the point where I didn't know how to get money. But if you get in 6 figures and God tells you you deserve 7, God tells you you deserve 8, how often do you actually step away from the 6 to go get to 7, 8? It's scary as fuck.
It's scary.
It feels like I've done the one thing I should have never done, especially when you are excited for a $10,000 check. Like, oh God, geez, I cried a little bit because
Especially your first
I
month.
needed that. I needed it.
That first month's crazy.
Oh my God.
That first one makes you feel like, nah.
And you have to accept that you deserve it. As an artist, I had an issue with accepting
Me too.
that I deserve it.
Me
I
too.
told myself I didn't deserve it because I had so much fun getting it.
Me
And
too.
it's like, no.
I used to, I'm still working on these traumas. Like,
Shit.
I fucking reflect compliments. OD quit. Oh, you look black. No, nigga, you look black. You know what I mean? Like, now I'm like, yo, thank you. I really like work on this outfit. Thank you. You look fly too, though. But yeah, I really put on work.
Yeah, I'm the worst at home.
Nah, it's like, yeah, I gotta sit with it. I gotta embrace it because it's like, it's the equivalent of smelling your flowers. It's like the micro flowers. You know what I mean?
I have not gotten there yet. I would say.
Oh, I'm not there 100%.
I'm the worst.
I'm not there.
I'm terrible.
But like low key, that's the part.
I don't even hear them.
Low key, that's a part of relationship building. Low key, because people want to feel heard when they give you compliments. It takes a lot for somebody to say you look nice today. I know that sounds simple for us because when we receive
Now
it,
that makes perfect.
but it's like, yo, like I literally just want to tell you how cool you look today. Please accept it and don't just like project on me. You know what I mean?
In a world of people who are too big to receive a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though you're telling yourself you're too small to receive the compliment, in reality you come across like you're too big to receive the compliment.
Facts.
Yeah, so I've been working on that. I got a lot of stuff I've been working on, but like I just been sitting on compliment, even if it's like 10 seconds, even if my thank you is delayed, and my thank yous are always delayed. My thank yous are always delayed when I get a compliment now. Because like it used to be robotic. Oh, thanks. It's like nah, nigga, you didn't mean that.
Yeah,
I'd be like, oh shit,
Facts.
thanks. You know what I
That's
mean?
a good rule of thumb. A good rule of thumb is to sit with the compliment.
You got
That might
to.
be one of the great lessons of the day.
You got to.
I usually take something big from every episode, and I feel like that's gonna be like.
Yeah, you got to, because those flowers are yours. Like those are yours, and like
Smell
smell them.
it.
Smell them. They're yours. Like they don't belong to no one else. You know what I mean? And it's just like a part of relationship building is just letting people know that you heard them. You know what I mean? And like
Facts.
people want to communicate. People want to let you know how special you are. And like even like with me, right? So like once I knew I was leaving, I literally made like a goodbye list. You know what I mean? I just been having like these warm combos. I'm talking like I love yous and I miss yous for the cousins and the moms and the dads and the co-workers, and it's just like people would tell you how you made them feel, and you gotta sit with it. And when you sit with it, you gotta let them know how much you appreciate them, and if you really value them, which some of these people who I spoke to I really value, you gotta express the desire to connect more.
Mm.
So it's like I don't expect to talk to everyone 24/7. That's not possible. But I'm like, yo, stay in touch. Simple things like that, yo. Oh shit, I'm proud of you for this, do that too. I can't wait to see you do that. That one thing they told you they wanted to do, and like they're celebrating you for doing what you want to do, you gotta celebrate them too. Or let them know you want to celebrate them. All of that adds to the relationship building, and what it does is that it fosters, in addition to the relationship, it fosters safe spaces. Because like one of the things I've been learning about my relationship building now is that in addition to building relationships, the professional ones and the romantic ones and the friendship ones, I just need a safe space as well. You know what I mean? And not every relationship has to be a safe space. That's a lot to ask for people. But at least a couple, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And then like the ones that like you feel genuinely connected to, let them know that they have a safe space in you. Even if it's just like, yo, like, thank you for pouring into me. You said you're finishing school. I can't wait to see you walk across the stage. Not that I'm gonna be there, but when you post it, I'm gonna like it and comment it, and you know that I meant that comment.
I think liking and commenting are very underrated.
I agree.
As far as like support.
I agree.
Right? They don't require a lot of energy. They don't require a lot of effort, but they are certainly something that I think creatives in particular really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You post something, real video, story, whatever. Somebody likes it. Somebody comments on it, even if it's something small. It really does feel good.
Repost.
A repost feels amazing. Like I really like. I think like I am the worst. So is right. I'm the worst at taking compliments. I like breeze right over them. Most of the time, I don't even really hear them.
Yeah.
That used to be me. No.
It's true. I don't. I'm not great at taking compliments.
That's
I never
right.
have been. And I think like we're gonna like wrap up soon,
That's
but
right.
not to like unpack too heavily. But I think like for me, I'm in a space where just like I feel as though there's gonna get to a point where like I'll become too dependent on them, or I will like start to need or expect them, or if I don't get them, then something's wrong, or like if it doesn't happen that day, then like was there a misstep? So I think for me, like I tend to breeze right past them for that reason, like because I don't want to get dependent on compliments. Like I think I'm a person who like has always had like a lot of self-validation. So I think because like, and I've grown to like here's the reality, right? If you gave 10 kids a survey and asked them who they would rather be friends with, would they rather be friends with a child who was handy-capable or a fat kid? Everyone would say the handy-capable kid. Being a fat kid is never the easy thing, right? So Morris and I, we have that in common. We were fat kids. And I think like...
That was so deep.
It's real. Like, it changes everything, right? Kids don't want to be friends with fat kids. It's you have to be a personality. Like, you have to actually, like, be interested.
Yeah.
Right? And that's real. And I think as a woman, I am a person who like developed a personality, right? And I think like as a result of developing a personality, I take it like very personally that I like myself, that I believe in myself, that I think I'm pretty, that I think I'm smart, and that I don't need you to fucking tell me anything. So I think for me, like because I'm so like into that, like I have to make myself feel good every day because I always have. Right? But I was not pretty. And this is real. Like, I don't think I was, like, pretty in my own eyes until I was, like, probably a junior or senior in high school.
That's real shit.
Right? Because that was when I lost the weight. And what a coincidence that I only saw myself as pretty when I lost that weight.
Wow.
So, like, I think because it was a long time before I felt good about me, it was a long time of having to build myself up, of having to be okay with myself, of having to like myself, regardless of what other people said. And so, like, because I did that for so long, you go 17 years in a habit of something, it changes the way that you react to everything around you. So by the time, like, I got to a place where, like, oh, boys thought it too, then it was just like kind of this shell of like, I don't fucking need your compliment. And so I didn't know how to take it.
That's powerful.
And I think like that's something that I'm still unpacking.
That's powerful.
So like for me, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
It's happening a little more with the show. I'm super grateful for that. I'm super appreciative of
It's
that.
beautiful.
Yeah, you're fucking amazing. You're beautiful and you're gorgeous and you're smart. and you're outstanding, and you're astounding, and you drop my jaw every time I see you. I scroll through my phone, and I follow, I like, and I subscribe, and everybody else should too.
And his platform's
Amazing.
incredible.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
if I'm around, she gonna hear it.
And I will say that Sam has always been good about that. Like there were moments in life where I just didn't feel good about me, and he always made sure that I did.
I love that.
And you need friends like that.
You
This
do.
is why I'm saying like you need people of the opposite sex, like
Yeah.
with no ulterior motives,
Yeah.
who are willing to build you up, right?
Mhm.
And who like create an expectation for you to do the same. And if that doesn't happen and you miss that, there's a problem,
Mm.
right? And I feel like everyone needs that kind of encouragement. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Everybody needs a friend like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always nervous of like people, whether it's men or women, who don't have those kinds of relationships with people of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean you don't have a friend in your life of the opposite sex who you haven't had some kind of intimacy with? Or who you didn't desire to have some kind of intimacy with?
Mm.
Which is another factor, and we ain't gonna get into that today. But I think like that changes the dynamic significantly too. I think when you are in like friendships with people and there's like this innate desire for it to grow into something else,
Mhm.
right? And if that doesn't happen and you're kind of like waiting in the wings or like you've settled for this, like to me, Samor's highest compliment is that he's willing to be my friend. Because I like him as a person, I respect him as a person.
Mm.
So a person who I like and respect wanting to be my friend is a very high compliment,
Mm.
right? Samesies though, there are a lot of people who like, I think, who think that I'm arrogant or who think that I'm overconfident or you don't like yourself and so me liking myself is a bit of a problem for you,
Crazy.
right? I ain't gonna say your name. I ain't
Ah.
gonna say your name, baby. I ain't gonna say your name, but
You know who you are.
you know who you are, big. You know who you are, big mama. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say your name though.
You
But
are so funny.
there are people who like would label me as that because like I like myself and I don't need other people to like me to like myself. But there are flaws that come with that too.
I
There
agree.
is no perfect
There
version
is
of
not.
like how to grow into a more evolved version of
Mhm.
yourself. Liking yourself all the time with no one's validation, it comes with shit too. Because then
Yeah.
you don't know how to take a compliment when you
You
get
end up
one.
being Kanye.
You end up being Kanye, where like all I need is me.
Yeah.
And I wish the room was full of mirrors so I could look at the realest nigga in me.
Yeah.
Like that's I mean that's what it becomes. You can
Yeah.
become Kanye
Yeah.
if you don't learn balance.
So like low key, not sorry for cutting you off, but like
That's
low key, that was one of my biggest issues. Like one of my biggest issues is prior to this, believe it or not, I know I'm chill right now. I used to be a mini Kanye. And
Really?
Yeah, and it came from my
That actually is not as surprising as you think it is.
Okay, but yeah, so like I used to be a mini Kanye, and a lot of it, believe it or not, came from my first name being my rap name. That was like a
Greatest mistake I ever made was my rap name being my real name.
man. That
Worst decision I ever
it
made.
fucks your
Still regret it.
Best thing I ever did.
it
Shout
literally
out to everybody who loves some more. I love you too.
it's like what ends up happening is like because you and I rap so well and people love when we rap, you feel like everyone loves what you say. And what happened was I wasn't able to listen because I get on stage and I'm like, just sing. And I'm talking and I'm just like probably saying bullshit, not listening to no one else because I'm just sing. And it's like, no, nigga, you gotta disconnect. And so what I ended up doing was my friends gave me a nickname. And so I started leaning towards that nickname. And as I leaned towards that nickname, I gave my real name Kasim some space. And by giving my name some space, I ended up to like remove myself from the idea of like being a rapper and got back to being a person.
Agreed.
And I feel like
That's why I
that,
don't use my real name for the podcast.
you see what I'm saying? And it's just like, it just allows you to just like build relationships even more genuinely because now you're not trying to project. So like,
And there's so much less pressure.
so much less pressure.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh. You ever seen Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes.
All right, bet. So it's like I was always Yugi. Like you know how you have your bad kid story. My story was I was the immigrant kid with like literally like pay less shoes, which is why I have like a fucking attachment to sneaker culture. A lot of my attachment to sneaker culture was I was wearing Payless. I was wearing Shaqs. That's why I'm always wearing Nikes and Jordans now.
Feel that.
You know what I mean?
Feel
So
that.
it's just like
Totally.
I always used to get clowned. You know what I mean? I was the African booty scratcher in 1998, 1999.
God, we were.
And I'm like, nigga, I'm in pre-K. Like, look,
Facts.
you know what I mean? But it's just like, what I've learned from like growing from that was just like, yo, like, you can't keep projecting. You know what I mean? So I used to have the nicest shoes. nothing. Like I'm talking no phone, no whip, no nothing. The nicest shoes. And it's like, nigga, you gotta step away from that. You know what I mean? And like a lot of that comes from the desire to remove the name Kasim from work. Like Kasim could be my name. It is my name. There's no change. But like Kasim is my name, but it's not my work. And once I removed my work from my name, I was able to be myself. When I was able to be myself, I was able to build genuine connections without having the need to project. Because when I used to try to project, I felt exhausted keeping up with the relationships. I felt like, fuck, I had to get new shoes so you could think I'm cool. And I kept getting broker and broker trying to get cooler than y'all. And it's like, nigga, yeah, you're cool in high school, but you're broke as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, get your priorities.
It's so whack as an adult.
It's so whack.
Nothing worse than a nigga in a $5,000, $10,000 fit who dead broke, didn't wash his ass before he put that fit on, because he ain't had no soap in the house.
No soap.
Because he spent all this money on the fit and the shoes, and now y'all here smelling like yesterday. Come on, man. Like, it's no good, brother.
Yeah.
Listen, you gonna get a lot further washing your ass than you start putting on a bunch of designer. And I mean that genuinely. I'm a person who smells amazing when I walk into a room. Anyone will tell you that.
That's right.
That's the truth.
That's real.
I smell good. I take great pride in it. You know why? Because I be smelling a lot of y'all niggas at the function. And it makes me very nervous about myself. I'm an extra wash because a lot of y'all don't go out here and spend all your money on the fit and don't wash your ass. Go and get you some peppermint soap first. And then after you purchase that peppermint soap, you see what you got left over for your fit. Prioritize, please. We all need to prioritize. But I feel you though.
Get you some OG.
Nah, for real. Get you some OG good smells. Like a signature smell, important. I like a nice vanilla musk person. You know, I believe in a signature scent.
Yeah.
You really, that's so much more important, especially as an adult. That is so much more important than any of the clothes that you put on.
Yes.
Because you really can throw on a fly sweatsuit right now from Costco and be kicking it. You really can. If you know how to wear that Costco sweatsuit, you can get it done. But if you got on a Gucci sweatsuit, a Louis parachute jacket with the Bottega boots, and you smell like yesterday.
You smell like Bottega boots.
Exactly. You smell like Bottega boots. You've accomplished nothing. Wash your ass. That's the lesson of the day right there. Wash your ass before you be concerned about any of this superficial nonsense that means absolutely nothing.
Yes.
I was somebody who like fell into sneaker culture, one because I'm from here. And it's just kind of a part of how we were raised, right?
Right.
A lot of drug dealers in this area, a lot of kids who were the younger brothers and sisters of drug dealers in this area, and so you were exposed to a lot of things very quickly. So you know, this is not an area where like you grew up and didn't see these things. Like, nah, I remember, and I said this on another show. Like, my brother and sister were wearing Fendi and Chanel, Boss, and Air Maxes in high school.
Damn.
So I really grew up seeing a lot of those things.
That
I can
sounds
tell you how
fly.
they got it.
First time I saw the Galaxy was in my sister's trunk, thrown into the trunk.
That's what I'm saying.
Damn.
So I think
Like
being
Galaxy
from
phone?
here,
That's the
like
very first time I saw him in person.
I think being from here, there's an exposure level.
Yeah,
Like, you
you're
exposed to some kind of fly shit pretty
You're right.
early.
You're right.
And so like you're sitting,
Yeah.
that's PG County for you,
Yeah.
right? Because it's the richest black county in America.
Yeah.
And so you do have like a very mixed like algorithm as far as like where people come from, right? So it creates a higher level of exposure. And I
You're
think
right.
in that higher level of exposure, you kind of find yourself in the midst of it. And I was a fat kid growing up. So what I wore was very important. And so like, you know what I mean? It was important.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You couldn't be the fat kid and not be fly.
Oh,
So I learned, like, I'm talking about, like, I think I got my first pair of Jordans. I was probably, like,
I love these stories.
I probably got my first pair of Jordans in, like, the 4th grade and never looked back.
Oh,
It's
okay.
been up
Yes.
since.
Very similar
So-
to me. Very similar. Very, very.
It's been a long
I think
time.
it was the 4th grade.
Yeah,
Like the 3rd.
My brother was, you know, busy.
That's fine.
And so I used to get very large birthday gifts.
That's beautiful.
And so I was very conservative as a kid. It wasn't until an adult that I had to relearn money management.
Yeah.
But I was like very conservative as a kid, but I would take some of that money and I would save it and then I would spend the other half of it on a pair of shoes. And like that's how the collection got built. Because my mom, she didn't think that kind of stuff was important. I think especially because like I feel like my my family felt like exposing the kids to this designer shit too early created a lot of the problems that I think a lot of our households dealt with, as far as like now there's a desire for fast money because you think that these things are important.
Yes.
And because there's like a culture of like
so
desire for these things, I'll do anything to get these things. That's still happening here, right? When you look at like, what was that year before last? A 15-year-old shot a Washington Commanders player on 8th Street. That's 10 minutes from my home. So like this is happening still, right? That is a culture of this city where people overvalue things and undervalue people. And I think that that's reflective in a lot of the structure missing from music here too.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. So another thing that like when I move and I get like my everything in order, I'm really passionate about teaching our community the value of like money. And when I say the value of money, it excludes the value of things, because the value of things is just marketing, advertising.
Facts.
The
Facts.
value of money is power, and like
Time.
I really believe that like that 15-year-old, like man, that's crazy. I didn't even know that happened, but it's crazy, but it happens, and I think it happens because we don't understand how money works.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And like I'm really passionate about talking about Bitcoin when I move and get my shit situated, because I feel like Bitcoin is the way we can empower those 15-year-olds to not see, oh yeah, let me just rob a commander person because I can't get bread. Because it's just like the price of everything will go up.
Facts.
Inflation will not end.
Nope.
These wars will never end.
Nope.
I was telling somebody yesterday, when it comes to wars, we don't factor the amount of money it costs for machine guns. Not only do you have to pay for the machine gun, you got to pay for the bullets to always be reloaded. Then you got to factor in the fact that there's thousands and tens of thousands of soldiers with machine guns that got bullets that always need to be reloaded. You
All
got
of them
jets.
have to be paid also.
All of them got to be paid. So it's like, long story short, what I'm telling you is that the dollar is going to zero, not because I'm trying to freak you out, but because I want to get our community ahead of the curve. The issue with violence, in addition to all the systemic issues, is the fact that the cost of living is going so high and desperation is going up. And I really, really believe that one of my purposes is, especially when it comes to relationship building, is to build a relationship with strangers, people who I've never met online, and let them know, hey, like, instead of just being these and figuring out how to get it through the mud, why not take $10 and buy Satoshis so you can grow with this network? And I feel like until we understand the value of assets over liabilities, until we understand the value of assets over destruction, until we understand the idea of building a network and building just an ecosystem of value, we will keep cannibalizing each other. And I feel like, unfortunately, when it comes to my love for fashion, your love for fashion, that disconnect. Like, I haven't bought shoes all year, not because great shoes haven't come out, but because I had to buy Satoshis. It's like, yo, the shoes are going, man, I will buy all the shoes in the world.
They'll be there.
Once Bitcoin is up X amount of dollars, but right now, you got to focus. And I just feel like, for anyone who's listening, a part of relationship building, I know this sounds like counterproductive from the community aspect, but it's also expanding your palette financially. Because as you expand your palette financially, you find more people not only expanding your palette. So like one of the things I learned with Bitcoin, right, is that not only am I building relationships with people who want to learn about Bitcoin, I'm building relationships with people who are way richer than me, who's like, yo, my money is an ice cube. How can I protect my wealth? And so you start adding value to people outside of your tax bracket.
And you know what, not to interrupt, but like I feel like the other aspect of like really financial independence, which is what it boils down to, that people don't understand that kind of like grows with that, is impulse control, which is such a big issue in our community, right? We rob and steal and hurt and harm people in a pursuit of this thing, right, that allows us to purchase things that are of no real consequence. And so like that desire for this dollar supersedes everything else. And so like it destroys impulse control. And so that's why like you have so many like of these horrible things happening in our community with regard to like robberies and kids being shot. A lot of y'all niggas can't aim no way, which is a problem. So like, you know, there's a like lack of impulse control. You desire this thing so much, you will do anything to get it. And whoever is standing in your way is just who happens to be in the way. And I think that we do as a community have to understand like financial viability, fiscal responsibility, which also results in impulse control. If you learn how to make your money a little slower, right? Which builds patience in terms of like saving and interest and like, you know, and it's a small thing. Like if you got $1,000 sitting in your bank account, put it in a limited CD, right? A limited high interest CD and see what that money does in a year, right? But you need patience in order to do that, right? And most people before they got to that point, they would pinch, which is the value of like a high interest CD because it's penalty if you touch that money before a certain amount of time. Try that instead of just leaving your money in your savings, right? So also things that it's good to have a woman around to tell you, right? Because your niggas might not necessarily be giving you advice like that.
Yeah.
So saying all of this to say, like, impulse control is necessary almost in everything that you're doing. It's in your financial viability. It's in the relationships that you build. It's important in almost every aspect of your life, right? So you got to get yourself under control. Once you get yourself under control, you need better control over relationships happening around you so that they don't destroy you.
That's so
Once
true.
you get your relationships under control, you need to be focusing on your business and your finances, right? Because if you got yourself under control, but you got your finances under control, but not the people around you, you're creating destruction in your own circle anyway. So, you know, you need like all of these are stepping stones to each other, right? So saying all of this to say, man, get yourself together. Focus on yourself. Focus on building yourself. And then focus on building a community around you. Work across. Learn to let your ego go and to start asking for some help, asking for some assistance on things. Once you get your community together, then you can focus on your entrepreneurship, your finances, and getting things together. Once you have a little more impulse control based on how you build your entrepreneurship, you can build everything else. So it's important like to understand like the value of how every relationship, especially the one you have with yourself, impacts everything that you do in this life. Saying all of that to say, we had a great show today, man. We're gonna wrap it up. It's something I've been doing for the last couple of episodes. I really like it, especially when we have you know, men on. And so I want to ask this, and then we're gonna get out of here.
All right,
We're gonna start with some of this, right? When you look at, I think like your journey in music between kind of your life as like a military kid and then college and then New York for so long and then coming back home. When you look at like kind of what it took to build your network, right? And you look back at like who you were in those points versus who you are now. What's something that you would tell yourself from 15 years ago that you wish you knew?
I would tell myself to like give myself a break. I would tell myself faith without works is dead is true. But self-evaluation, taking time out to give myself some more self-love, and not to put so many of my friends' burdens on my back to the point where I get to eliminate friends. If I would have had the maturity to communicate in the moment, and not communicate in the moment in anger, but communicate in the moment in reality, and allow my friends to prove themselves to be my friends or remove themselves from me on their own account. I feel like a lot of sound and secure steps. A lot of the steps that I was blessed to be able to make have been to rocket me to the next point. And the recognition wasn't always there, however, the favor was. So I was able to make it to that next step, even off balance. And I feel like I would have been a lot more on balance had I spent less time on other people's bullshit and more time just loving people.
I love that.
That's deep. Kasane?
I got like two. One of them, all the cliches are real. And I literally came to that conclusion like a year or two ago. Life is too short and people tell cliches like folklore. So follow your heart. Like literally I'm moving across the country because I'm following my heart. Be yourself. I post every day because I'm trying to be myself. So like all the cliches I heard since I was 5, listen to them. You know what I mean? And listen to them from the perspective of wisdom, not from the perspective of I already heard it before. Because like, yeah, you heard all this shit when you were 6, you heard all this shit when you were 7, but it means so much more in your 30s, not because they're more real, but because you have more experiences. So align your experiences with the cliches. And when you align your experiences with the cliches, you find perspective of how to live a life worth living. A lot of what I'm doing right now is for the purpose of fulfillment. A lot of what I'm doing right now is for the purpose of maximizing my moment. You know what I mean? Like we got that Kobe image right there. I watch his clips all the time, and it's just like, yo, you gotta just make the most of what you have, not because of like what you want. You know what I mean? Because what you want, everyone wants something. You know what I mean? Everyone wants something. I want so much shit, but what I have is special, and I always ignored what I had, and a lot of ignoring what I had, it was ignoring the people that I had. A lot of ignoring the people that I had destroyed the relationships that I had.
Thinking
You know
the
what I
next
mean?
thing is gonna be better.
Exactly. And it's just like, it's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to God for blessing me with what I had. So, like, all the cliches are real is one of the first things I would just say. Another thing I would tell my younger self, which I'm so glad the present self of me is knowing, don't be afraid to be smart. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to just like stand up for something that matters to you. I.e., what I'm doing with Bitcoin and AI, I'm the crazy person that everyone in my family. Like I'm like, oh shit, it's the Bitcoin guy. Oh shit, it's the AI guy. And it's just like, fuck that. Love what you do and ride with it. Because as you ride with it, you build a personal brand. As you build that personal brand, the money's gonna come. You know what I mean?
Facts.
As you build that personal brand, the opportunities are gonna come.
Facts.
So I would just tell my younger self, yo, keep reading, nigga. Like, don't stop reading because niggas call you a nerd.
This
You know
nigga
what I
told his
mean?
younger self 18 things.
I'm sorry.
Said one thing. This nigga told
I'm
himself
sorry.
18
It's
things.
just a lot. It's like, if I could time travel, I would time travel. I can't
Nah,
time travel. You know what I mean? This is the
Fact.
closest thing I can do to time travel.
Nah,
Yeah.
facts.
What
That's
about
real.
you? What about you?
I would tell my younger self to eliminate anybody who doesn't love you the way that God loves. That would have saved me a lot of trouble.
That's deep.
And I think it solves all the other problems.
Mm.
So like anything I look back on in my younger days, and I'm just like, man, that was a misstep right there. That was a mistake right there. If I had known the necessity of like not engaging in, not participating in, not like making myself susceptible to relationships with people who did not know God in any sense of the word. And that if they did not know God, they were not capable of the kind of love that I needed. And like continuing to try to like pull people in, not understanding that the way that life works, the way love works, the way gravity works, something's gonna pull you down before you can pull it up. So had I understood that at like 18, I think it would have saved me a lot of trouble. But the reality is that there's a reason why there's no rewind button.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why God doesn't allow you to go back, right? Every lesson is meant to make you better. You win or you learn, you never lose. And on that beautiful note, thank you guys for tuning in today. We love you, we appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube to the You Weren't There podcast. You can follow us on IG, on TikTok, as well as the personal page. Mia was here, 5_. Kasim.
My name is Kasim. Like I said, I rap, I do AI art, I do AI film, and I will eventually start doing crypto content. You can follow me anywhere, Kasim, KASIMBIA_.
Samoris.
Excellent. And my name is Samoris. That's SAMORIS. You follow me on all platforms of Samoris with 2 underscores, SAMORIS__. I'm an artist, I'm a designer, I'm all of the things that God has blessed me to be. And if you'd like to know more about me, go to samoristheartist.com. That's SAMORISTHEARTIST.com. And you can find out everything that you need to know about me, as well as where you can book me and have me come out and speak just as eloquently as I did here.
Hell yeah.
For sure. And we'll be on a little break next week. We'll probably end up on IG Live, but I'm taking a little break next week to gear up for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we'll see y'all in another week or so.
And happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
It's my birthday this week, man. Shout out to all my friends who made it lovely and beautiful. I appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see y'all in a week or so.
Peace.